Hi everyone, I'm JD. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, I am super excited to share these journals. Finally, these have been in the works for a long time. Doing the bigger journals with the book cover and more signatures, it takes so much longer than doing a single signature paper bag, glassine bag journal. So I feel like I've been working on these forever, but anyway, finally getting to show you. And I was at work, and I would be thinking about these journals while I was at work, and all I could think about was how I couldn't wait to get home so I could start working on these again. And that's how excited I was, and I haven't been this excited about a journal project for a while. I think it's because it's a bit of a different style for me, as you'll see. Also, so many reasons actually, because I love this. I'm calling it the Disney Princess series, or the Fairytale series. I was inspired by Johanna Chloe, her set of vintage Fairytale journals, and out of all the journals that she's made, those ones were probably the ones I loved the most, and in particular the Cinderella one. I would have loved to have bought that. But anyway, I was so inspired by those, and I just really love her style. Out of any junk journaler, her style is probably my favourite. And it's, yeah, I don't know. I'll go into more as I flip through these. My favourite in terms of a journal that I would use, I think, because I love the really pretty ones with the lace and the fabric and the collages, but as much as I love looking at those ones, for a journal that I would actually use, I kind of much prefer Johanna Chloe's style, and you kind of see how I've taken inspiration from her in these journals. Anyway, what I did was, when I was in Melbourne last Christmas, I got this from an op shop, this book, and I've pretty much, yeah, used every page. I donated a lot of these pages to the Beyond Blue fundraiser mystery packs. Some went into the vintage paper packs that were in my Etsy, and other than that, the only ones that I have kept was a couple that I used in my junk journal kits that I had, and also I pulled out the full stories for these three stories: Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. And the great thing was there were so many pages in each story that there was enough to make a full book-sized journal with heaps of signatures and heaps of pages. And yeah, I took inspiration, like I said, from Johanna Chloe, and found these, I don't know, framed card things that I got in Happy Mail. So yeah, I thought, how can I do this cover? Because I used just the normal Reader's Digest books that I, strip the pages of, and I'll link below the video if you missed it or are interested in how I prepare books to make covers. And then usually I put something else on here, like a piece of paper to cover it, but for this one did something completely different and used these cards with the cutout frame, and then put a picture from the book or story in it, and chose a picture that represented the story. So, Sleeping Beauty, here she is asleep. Cinderella, this is when she's all dressed up with the birds and the animals. You can't see the animals, but they were dressing her up, and just how the birds and the mice were a big feature in that story. And then this one I included, it was only a smaller frame, but can you see this little chipmunk? How Snow White, she was always with the animals and friends of the animals and in the woods and greenery and that kind of thing. I did want to originally hope for 3 different coloured covers, but when I went to the op shop to find a third colour, there weren't any. I already had these two. There was only these 2 colours there. I was hoping for like a gold or a green, but that's alright. I think the blue works fine, especially with these 2. I think blue would have worked for either, but I chose the maroon or reddy coloured journal cover for this Snow White one because it brings out the red in her dress and her bow and everything. And then I just paired it with some green washi tape on the spine and everything and made a green themed journal in this one to go with the greenery, and there's a lot of nature in this story. So yeah. Whereas this one, I went for a light blue kind of theme and floral theme. And this one, more of a darker blue to go with the night sky type of thing. And again, floral and very much blue. You kind of see they each have their own character. Some of the pages overlap, but I did choose pages for each one specifically. Each page, there was a reason I chose it that went into here, either because it went with the colour theme or the bird nature floral theme, or something to do with, you know, getting the letter invite to that ball. So I included some letter type paper, if that makes sense. And I'll go through some of those details as well. But also what I want to say before I go into a flip through, oh my goodness, this is a long intro, but these just mean a lot, and there's so many things that I have gone into this, so I just want to share. Okay, when I was a kid, alright, first of all, yeah, I love the Disney princesses. I grew up with them, I adore them, and just wanted to be a princess, that kind of thing. I love the sparkles, I love the beautiful dresses, I love the castles, I love it all. And when I was a kid, I watched these DVDs, well, they weren't DVDs back then, were they? Videos, over and over and over and over and over again. And not many people know about these, but I just discovered them in a video shop one day. I think it was my mum who discovered them, and I love this series. There's a couple others in the set, but these three were my favourite. And this was my all-time favourite, like my all-time favourite movie out of anything was this one. And she just had the most beautiful crown and the most beautiful dress, and oh my goodness, I'm so glad I could buy these as an adult. And it's just, you know, that whole sentimental thing watching these. And so that's why, you know, the Fairytale princess journals kind of mean quite a lot to me because of these movies and just my connection with them. And amazingly, you know, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. Unfortunately, there's no Cinderella in this series of DVDs, and there was no Beauty and the Beast story in that book that I got from the op shop. But that's okay. It's all good. What was I going to say? I think of Cinderella as like the rose, as in they're just classic and you just like them for that reason. Well, I like them for that reason. It's not necessarily my favourite flower or my favourite movie or Disney princess, but I always like it because it's just the classic one I think of in terms of flower, rose, and in terms of Disney princess, Cinderella is the first one I would automatically think of. But Sleeping Beauty is probably my favourite one. Anyway, so let's finally get into the flip throughs. My goodness. They're all very similar, but I don't know, there's just so much to say. I'll just get into it. Okay, let's just do this. So they all have the same, whatever was on the spine isn't the same on the insides of the covers. They all have a library pocket, and they all have some sort of paper here to go with the theme. This one, blue florals. So you can see blue florals. And yeah, used all scrapbook papers interspersed with coffee dyed papers and pages from the book. And also another Fairytale book that I found as well. It was just like a $5 book that I picked up, not from an op shop, but because it was $5 I picked it up. And they had each of these stories in it. So I just interspersed those pages in here too, and they had some pretty cool pictures in there as well that I used. I think that's all to say. But yeah, so these fun pockets, I just love this. So this is what I mean. This is a different style of embellishing, but they are all backed onto some sort of patterned paper, scrapbook paper, so you can still write on the back or put a photo or stick anything you want on there. And then you've got a page from the story here, and then that's a pocket with the story. So I put as much of the story as I could without covering up the pictures or the words in this book, either as pages or as the embellishments. So, like I said, lots of storybook pages because there's so many, and I love that. And then this one, a pocket here, and it slides out like that with the scrapbook paper behind. And so that's what this journal is all about. Lots of pockets like this. And yeah, very different to what I've normally done, but like you still have to kind of double side everything, back everything, glue everything down, and that's why it still takes so long. Oh my goodness. I was thinking at the start when I first was making these journals, like, oh yeah, I'm going to nut them out, they're going to be all done so quickly, and then making all of these bits and pieces took forever. And you'll see, I mean, you'll see when I go through it. It's like I just had to spend so much time doing this. But anyway, here's another one. So there's some of the story backed onto that floral regal kind of stuff. This kind of okay, so I did go for vintage as well, vintage and floral in this journal. That's the theme. And so some of my other embellishments I did actually create with these journals in mind. You might have seen a video, I'll link it below if you missed it, the one where I did a whole bunch of pre-made embellishments. I did make those with these journals in mind, and my botanical journals as well, which is the next project after this. So here's more scrapbook paper, and you can write again all over it. Like, even though it's patterned and it's pretty and everything, I will just write over every little bit or stick a photo or something. And I also try to choose roses, anything with roses I put in this one, because her name was Bria Rose. No, her name was Aurora, but the fairies called her Bria Rose. So one of my envelopes with the journaling spot, and I will try and do everything to show you the front and the back, because they're both cool. And a tag here. This one actually is only plain on the back because this was from some packaging, and I just thought it worked so well with the roses and the blue and the pink. So there's a bit of pink in this one too. More of this, and I did try to make it symmetrical. What was in one will be in the other side. Not always, but I tried. And then this is, I love this so much. This is like my favourite. These pocket pages inspired by Wendy and Krista. And you pull out these tags and they're all, you know, double-sided. And that's what I mean about strategic and everything chosen for a reason with those little details. So it's got the flowers, it's got the blue, it's got the patterns, it's got the vintage, it's got, you know, so working all that kind of into this book, I suppose. More images from the story. Just love it. They all have one of these envelopes, and this is what I wanted to say. Alright, so this connects me to this movie, because in this movie there's a section where she walks through this wall. Well, there's a hole in the wall, a doorway, but it's covered by ivy. And I don't know, I was kind of taken by that. And so I've used this brick wall and ivy, and I've used that throughout this journal because it just reminds me of that. And I mean, that might not mean anything to anyone else, but for me, that kind of detail, that just takes me right back. And anyway, so yeah. So fun. And I just love this paper. That is just beautiful. So yeah, did I mention out of all the three, this one's my favourite. So this is an image from that other Fairytale book, which is pretty cool. And then you can write all over the back. And I made that into a pocket. And you've got some vintage dictionary pages as well, and I chose words that went with the story, so like velvet, because there was a spindle and all the luxurious dresses, so in the movie they had to go travel to buy dresses, and I just think of like silks and satins and velvets when they had to go to get those dresses, and brocade and that kind of stuff. Another tag here with the pocket. Okay, maybe I won't show every little thing because I've got to be here forever if I pull every single thing out. In that envelope with the fabric. And then image from the story. And just a little journaling spot in the bag. And they all have the same kind of embellishments. That's another image from that Fairytale book, and just the glorious dresses, my goodness. So this one is a pocket using this large image, and then there is a map. And this is also sentimental because in this movie the prince, when he tries to find a princess, he pulls out this map, and I don't know, that's why it reminds me of this. So he was travelling all the lands to find a palace or a castle to find a princess, and he looked at the map to mark off all the castles he'd been to or something. Anyway, a little tuck here, more of that map paper. I like how the doily also has roses on it. Well, I like to think of them as roses. And then they all have a card with the kind of vintagey writing, and it's just one of the typo cards, and I chose the first letter of their name, so Aurora, for this one. So I thought that was kind of fun, a little detail again. Here is another image from the story from that other book. Love this page. And because he's like reading this map thing, kind of thought of it as like a letter type reading on paper. Making notes, that kind of thing. Oh, here's a side pocket. And then, oh, they all have one of these. So I had so much fun creating these. So there's a pocket on this side, and then you flip it over and there's a pocket on this side. And here is that brick wall with the ivy over the top, a tribute to the movie. So, well, I just love it. And then more journaling space. So yeah, you can see this has definitely got lots of writing space, which is what I absolutely love about Johanna Klo's journals. I mean, I love everything, but the way she embellishes, there's just so much room she leaves for writing. And here's one of my other embellishments with tucks and tags and things. So that's a giant one, it goes all the way down there. Yeah, and then I did try to choose like a nice picture for each of the middles of the signatures. Look at that beautiful dress. Oh my goodness, just jewels and crowns and dresses. This is why I like Disney princesses. They all come with one of these as well, and you can put your own photos in there. So it's a pocket in each of these 4 sections, or you can just tuck your own little notes or something in there, or bits of ephemera. Image from that book, Fairytale book. This one folds out like that, so there's more of the story, and then just more journaling space behind it. Love this page too with the butterflies and the blue. Okay, so here's another pocket, and then just more vintage paper to journal on or stick things on. Love this. And this is another page that folds out. Rose. This one here, I have made a double pocket here, so okay. Image from the book, and then there's this one from the story tucked in there, if I can get it back in. And then at the back, another pocket with more journaling space. And I love how you can journal on one side as well if you want, and then stick a photo on the back, and then you could journal about the photo that you've stuck there. And you could tuck in more photos and bits of ephemera in here, in all the pockets. Like, there's a lot of pockets in this journal. And then on this side, we all just have a plain bit. No fancy pockets in that one. And they all have one of these, and I like how it's got this vintagey writing here. And this came through the Beyond Blue fundraiser, so I just put a few in my own mystery packs. And then just a journaling spot inside if I can get it out. And let me just put that one back in. It's a bit of a tight fit, but it goes in. And I like how you can put that down if you want to. Envelope here. And another tuck there. And then two more tuck spots over here, if I can get them out. So, story, story, and that's the last page of the story, so, which goes with that picture. Okay, so, that is the journal, and oh my goodness, so much fun to create, so good to work in this different style, so good to kind of do a journal that is more in line with what I would personally use. It's still nothing like what I would use. It's still way too embellished for my likings. I like a journal that can really grow, and by the end of all my things stuck in, be this size. So if it was my journal for me, I would want it like this to start off with. But yeah, this one already kind of springs open, but not too much. So I can still close it to about there. Kind of. So there's a little bit of room to grow depending on how chunky you like it, but definitely lots of writing space and lots of pockets and things. But yeah, I'm just looking at the time, and I mean, I kind of rambled on a bit there at the start of this video. So what I'll do, I'll stop it here, and then I'll share the other two in the next video. How about we do that? Cool. Let me know what you guys think of this one. I hope you like it as much as I do. I feel really, really proud, actually, of these journals. And I think out of all the ones that I've made, these are some of my favorites. So, yeah, cool. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.